everybody. Welcome back to Mask of the Slasher. Yeah. So we're on episode 17. Yeah.
Get it?
17 has no significance.
No, none whatsoever.
Just a number.
Yep.
So today we decided that we would pick some of our, basically my favorite movies. Let's just go with that. I mean, Josh likes them, but it's mine. And we're going to do Poltergeist, the original one, versus The Entity, also known as Spooky Porkin.
Yes.
In this household. I will explain in a little bit.
Yes.
So anyway, Poltergeist, I often mention that Poltergeist, I never really said it was the first horror movie.
Right.
But it really was the first. I just consider slashers to be more of horror.
Yeah.
Don't come at me. But that's kind of how I felt about it. Poltergeist, once again, HBO.
Oh, yeah. Give it up for HBO.
Yeah. So I happened to see it on there.
Yeah.
And once again, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
As it would. So this movie came out on June 4th, 1982. So it probably came on to HBO about 2 years later, is my guess. And so that makes me about 5 or so when it came out and I saw it. So Josh is only 6 months younger, so therefore he was about the same, yeah.
You kids will never understand the wonders of HBO.
Oh!
Having to wait to see a movie.
Oh, God. And it was a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal.
It was a big deal. So this movie, to me, is probably what I refer to as a warm blanket.
Yeah.
I have seen this movie, I want to say, at least 50 times.
Oh, sure.
At least. Because I watch it at least once or twice a year, if not more. Because if it happens to be on, I'm going to watch it. It just makes me feel comfortable and at home.
Right.
And we've even gone to the theater to see it when they re-released it in the theater a few years ago.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
Right.
And I would go see it in the theater again if it came back out.
Absolutely.
Josh would probably be like, I don't want to see it again, and I'm going to go watch Dune for the 40th time instead.
Well, if Dune was playing in the next theater over, I mean, that might be a different story. But I do enjoy Poltergeist and would go see it in the theater again.
It's such a good movie. So anyway, this movie was directed by Tobe Hooper. If you don't know who Tobe Hooper is, I'm sorry, but he did direct Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, and which is not one of my favorites. It's one of Josh's. I
love it.
Yeah,
big fan. Big fan.
So there's kind of a story though behind this whole director stuff. So at the same time that this was being filmed, E.T. was also being filmed, and that was Steven Spielberg's situation. So Steven Spielberg actually was kind of like what they refer to as like a ghost director, which I think they just made that shit up.
I think so too.
But that's what I mean,
they were just like, oh, ghost writer, ghost director.
Yeah.
I'm here to direct the film.
Yeah. I'm over here playing with E.T.
Oh. You know, I used to have dreams about E.T., but he was evil.
Well,
he was trying to get me.
He's kind of a blockhead.
And like he would come at me and I would just be like frozen and couldn't talk or do anything. Just wanted to throw that out. E.T., man.
Deep.
Just think if he was evil. Scary stuff.
Super deep.
Super
anyway.
Scary is what it was. I'm just saying.
So, okay. From what my research told me, it was like, hey, I'm researching. I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
That Steven Spielberg originally wanted Stephen King to co-write this.
Oh, okay.
But Stephen King apparently was on the Titanic. Yeah, he was on a boat out in the Atlantic somewhere.
On the Titanic.
I know, but that's all I ever think of when somebody's like,
we can't have that many Stevens in this movie associated with this movie.
No, he really was on a ship. And he did not get the memo in time. Yes, I'm not.
God, what was this? The 1800s?
That's what I'm saying.
He was traveling on a steamship.
Yes. Oh, come on. Yeah, I know.
To the New World.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
I know. Well, okay, so I thought it was weird too. So he was like, oh, well, he just ignored me and he got all butthurt. So then he went to Tobe Hooper, but he also wanted Tobe Hooper to bring out the more horror side of it, hence why he wanted Stephen King.
Right.
And I have to say, I love Stephen King. Amazing. Really glad it was Tobe Hooper.
Yes.
Because
agreed.
I think it made it a lot scarier. If it was Stephen King, it would be very slow.
Yeah.
And not have the same shock factor, which
Right.
back then it was shocking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Not so much these days, but back then, amazing. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I did learn that later on, Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper also collaborated on a TV show or a series called Amazing Stories, if you've ever heard of it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was that like kind of the precursor to Unsolved Mysteries, kind of?
Kinda.
I mean,
Kinda, yeah. They're pretty corny.
Yeah.
It was like if After School Specials and Unsolved Mysteries had a baby.
Right.
Amazing Stories.
Okay, yeah. Because I vaguely remember it.
Yeah. Somebody I know actually went and bought the series at one point. We had to watch it.
I wonder if that's streaming anywhere, because I wouldn't mind just seeing what it...
Well,
because I only vaguely, I have this vague recollection of it, and that's it.
I'm sure it's on Stupid Tubi.
Probably. Everything's on Tubi.
Everything's on Tubi.
You don't mind ads.
So anyway, so this story is based on what they just refer to as the Herman House. It was a house that was haunted, I guess, I don't know, in the 1950s. I didn't go into a deep dive in it because I don't care. But because most of the time when somebody has made a movie based off of ghosts, it's very loosely based.
Right.
And so I don't find any reason to really go into it.
Right.
And anytime somebody actually decides to follow a real story of any true crime or ghosty things, it sucks balls.
Right.
It does.
Right.
But go watch, please, if you know of a serial killer horror movie that is actually good, then let me know. Because I have yet to find one. Ed Gein, amazing story.
Yeah.
Could have been a great movie.
Yeah.
Horrible garbage.
Yeah, and only it's only like the ones that are loosely based that are any good. I mean, like obviously Texas Chainsaw inspired by Silence of the Lambs, of course, stuff like Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. But nothing that follows
nothing that's true to the story, to the actual story.
And it is a gruesome freaking story.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very disappointing for somebody who has liked true crime for many years, way before it was popular and cool. All right. I've been watching Forensic Files.
Anybody that's into heavy metal and horror movies goes through their serial killer phase.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of heavy metal has freaking serial killer songs.
Macabre. Hello.
Macabre, yeah.
Hello.
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 So, anyway, this movie, it's got ghosts. It's got special effects. It's got a toilet paper monster.
It does have a toilet paper monster. Holy shit.
It does.
That's the coolest effect.
It really is.
I think.
And it has all held up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says. It has held up. And we learned, last couple of years, we watched a documentary that I think was on Disney Plus, and it was about, the hell is that place?
ILM.
Yeah, ILM. And that's actually where those effects came from.
Right.
So, fun fact for the day. So if you go and find that, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's really good.
It is good. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. You can find it. It's not that,
the documentary section of Disney Plus, where Star Wars isn't, or Marvel.
That's right.
Those are the other places.
Somewhere in the basement of Disney Plus, below Marvel and Star Wars, in the sub basement is the documentary section.
In the Disney vault.
There you will find the Industrial Light and Magic series.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. So, and then a couple of things that, some people might know about, some people don't know. One, fun fact, the skeletons in the pool, majority of them are real.
Yeah.
And the actress did not know that at the time.
Yeah.
And I was just reading this earlier, and I was like, well, that would suck to find that out after the fact. Be like, oh, cool. It was actually cheaper then to just go and get skeletons, real skeletons, than to make them.
Yes, they got them from Unita Medical Supply. That's what I heard.
Shut up. Anyway, so that was kind of interesting. I'm a little obsessed with this movie, so I'm going to know some dumb facts. But this house is actually still standing and still being lived in. It is in Simi Valley, California, which is Southern California for you folks that don't know. It's not currently on the market. It's about $1.5 million if you want to purchase it, and I have it saved on Zillow.
Yeah, and I wish I had known this because I actually lived in Simi Valley for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And had I known that house was there, I would have made an effort to see it.
Exactly. Well, the E.T. house isn't far from, it's not in Simi Valley specifically, but it's not far from Simi Valley. So you also could have gone and seen the E.T. house.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, oh, it's too bad it wasn't in the same neighborhood. And Steven Spielberg could just get in a little golf cart.
Right.
And have gone back and forth between the sets.
Well, Simi Valley's not that big.
It's
so
not.
You could.
It's true. It's true. I never look at a steak on a countertop without thinking of this movie.
Oh, God, yeah, that part.
Oh, it's rough. With his skin all being melted off. Amazing effect.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Oh.
But yes, it grossed me out when I was a kid. It was probably one of the scarier parts.
I think so.
Yeah. But the toilet paper monster definitely takes the cake on this one.
Oh, for
sure. My sister and I call it the toilet paper monster because it really looks like it was made out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be the Beast.
Yeah.
He came out of the closet and was hanging out in the doorway.
Yes.
And he did not want that woman to go in.
No.
He was just like, nah, son, I don't like your weird football pajamas you have on. Mm-hmm. That weird nightgown
That was
thing.
a weird... Yeah.
But I think that details that I thought were important were like the stretching hallway.
Mm-hmm.
That is in dreams.
Oh,
that really does happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Now, so like I said, this movie came out on June 4th, 1982. Okay, there we go. 8 months later, only 8 months after that, did The Entity come out.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to say that there was a fad going on around this time of ghosty houses. Because you've got Amityville Horror.
All right, yeah.
And that was obviously earlier than these. I think it was 1978 or 79, one of the two. Mm-hmm. So you have that one, and then you have all this other stuff. And it was just like these stories just kept coming out.
Right.
And it was probably on like 60 Minutes or Ripley's Believe It or Not. Some horrible show that was on at the time.
Right.
The Entity came out on February 4th, 1983. And it was directed by Sidney Furie. Now, I did some research on Sidney Furie. He did a lot of crappy war movies that we don't care about. Okay. But he did do a movie in, 1961 called Dr. Blood's Coffin.
Oh. That sounds amazing.
Well, it's interesting because it sounds a lot like another movie we've watched. But we've never seen it, so I'm not going into it. But... So this movie, The Entity, was based on a 1974 story of Doris Bither. This was a single mom who lived in Southern California. She was at the poverty line. The house itself, unlike the movie, it made it look pretty crappy, but the actual house was in ruins and close to being condemned.
Oh.
So one of the daughters that was in The Entity was in Amityville Horror as well. So I think it's just because it's two girls, it tugs at your heartstrings a little bit more, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The Entity, there's really no starting point on this. It just happens.
Yeah.
And it's shocking.
It is. This is a rapey movie.
It is very rapey. This is why we call it Spooky Porkin.
Yes.
Because there is a scene in this movie. I'm just going to spoil it because if you haven't seen this.
If you haven't seen this by now.
Come on.
Turn this off and go watch it.
Yeah, geez.
I don't know.
But she's raped over and over again. Yeah, by a ghost, a spirit. But there's one scene in particular with her boobies where you can see the imprints going into her boobs, and it is eerie and unsettling.
Yeah.
It is, and so that's Josh's uncle titled it Spooky Porkin one day, and it has stayed that way. Mm-hmm. So you're welcome.
Yep.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean, for that one. So but that's what I'm saying is that it just kind of started out of nowhere.
Right.
I can't. I mean, I can't figure out one reason. Maybe it's just because they didn't really put those puzzle pieces together for you in this movie.
Yeah.
We've discussed this before, to where some movies they put more out there as far as a backstory nowadays.
Right.
Whereas back then they kind of left it a mystery, which did definitely leave you feeling unsettled, and you wondered why, and then it felt more realistic that it could happen to you.
Right.
Because you didn't get told the whole entire enchilada.
Right.
So I think that's part of why this wasn't completely told.
Yeah.
And maybe if I actually read the story about this woman.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could read the book, I guess, but
Yeah.
Reading.
Words.
We don't take kindly to fancy book learning.
Paper and words. So, but yeah, we don't really know why it started. It just started.
Right.
But also had some pretty great effects in that sense. So, by the way, I never mentioned this, because if you don't know this also by now, poltergeist is a German word for loud ass ghost.
Yes.
It just means a noisy ghost.
Right.
But everybody has to say that over and over again in every interview.
Every documentary, every interview, yeah. Noisy ghost, we got it.
Yeah.
German, yep, okay.
Yeah. How do you not know that by now? And there is, on the Blu-ray that we have for Poltergeist, there is a documentary that is dated.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at specifically what the date was, but I'm going to go with early 2000s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, possibly late 90s.
But it definitely shows its age, unlike the film.
Yeah.
The film is aged like fine wine. This documentary, not so much.
This documentary is aged like Forensic Files.
Yeah.
It's rough. But yeah, they once again talk about the noisy ghosts.
Right.
And that's really, the entity is just, it's just it's a ghost.
Yeah.
It's a spirit, and it just does some stuff.
Yeah, and I think both these movies hold up pretty well. I think the only part in Poltergeist that doesn't hold up for me is the tree getting sucked up into the tornado or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little lame.
I think that's kind of lame. As far as the entity, the ending for me, where they recreate the house and everything, is pretty convoluted in my opinion.
It's so ridiculous.
Like,
it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
It didn't even work.
Right. I mean, it temporarily worked. It trapped him temporarily, but
it just was so elaborate.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could have just got a can of that spray shit that they used to take a mole off at the doctor and just sprayed them.
Yeah.
And it would have probably done the same thing and just frozen them in time there for a half a second.
Right.
You could have got one of those things that Ghostbusters have.
Yeah.
One of those things called a little machine.
Little traps, little ghost traps, It's kind of funny that in both movies, it's like the paranormal investigators are a trio.
Mm-hmm.
And both an older woman and two younger dudes.
Yes.
That's kind of weird, right?
It's really weird. Like, really, really weird. I don't understand it. But they don't have Tangina.
They do not have Tangina in the entity.
No.
They could have used her, though. I think.
Really could have. She would have benefited. But she was kind of useless, if you think. I mean, she helped get Carol Ann out of the closet.
Right. But then
she was like, this house is clean.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
Wasn't. Yeah.
You lying sack of shit. Yeah. Phony baloney.
Took the money and ran.
She totally did. She did. I got another pair of ugly glasses.
That was in the deleted scenes where she's writing up the invoice for her services,
Cleaning house.
Saving little girl.
Yes. Yeah. But I have to also say about Poltergeist it definitely has a lot more effects and a lot more of a budget. Mm-hmm. Probably because Spielberg was involved in it.
Right.
And so, the creativity of this thing coming out of the closet and coming through the ceiling, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is a portal.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the whole ghosty world talk about portals and stuff.
Yeah, and it's also really, in my opinion, the only movie where a clown's even remotely scary. That toy clown.
Let's discuss the clown for a second. Clowns are not scary. Sorry. They're not scary. But this particular toy clown, why the child owned it to begin with,
yeah,
he had such
terrifying
rad things in his room. He had all this Star Wars stuff and all this really cool licensed shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got this ugly ass clown. And when I was a kid and I went to the Iowa State Fair with my grandparents, they bought me a little toy clown, which I still have. And after I watched Poltergeist, that thing did not get to sit out during the night at all. And I didn't even try to cover it up with a jacket. It just went in the closet, shut the door. Nope. But it was just the fact that it was a toy clown, and he was the fact that he pulled this child out from his bed and back underneath. I think that was anything under your bed.
Well, yeah, when you see that when you're a kid, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
That scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Do you know the other night I had a nightmare and I was afraid to get out of the bed.
Yeah.
Not that anything in my nightmare had anything to do with creatures under my bed, but still,
right?
That terror
nightmare
still
where
there.
You're terrified to get up and move. Yeah, absolutely. I
don't look in mirrors. I don't do anything.
I've had that for sure.
If you were to compare the two as far as spookiness, Poltergeist definitely is going to win.
Oh yeah.
The Entity is definitely obviously a more adult, spooky movie.
Yeah.
And Poltergeist plays more towards children, obviously. Because the kids in the Entity just shut up.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my God, the screaming and crying. And I understand being scared, but holy shit, shut up.
Yeah.
It was so much. I just wanted to slap them.
Yeah, I appreciate the grittiness of the Entity for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean Poltergeist
definitely
trumps it on all fronts, from story to effects to acting, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbara Hershey's great, don't get me wrong, but as far as
she does a tight lip thing.
Yeah, but
she does this thing under her.
But Poltergeist just has so many strong performances. She does do that, it's true. But Poltergeist has so many strong performances in it,
Well, exactly. All in all, both movies are fantastic, but yes, Poltergeist is always going to get my vote.
Yeah.
If I was stuck on an island with one movie between the two of these, it's going to be Poltergeist.
For sure. Yeah.
I think both stories would be interesting to look into a little bit further.
Right.
But I also think I'll be disappointed once I find out how different they are from the story. Out of the two movies, which one do you like better? We want to know.
Yes.
Down in the comments.
Let us know down in the comments.
Do you like spooky ghosts more or rapey ghosts?
You know I had to like some spooky ghosts more. Y'all know me.
I know you. I know you like water. Sorry, folks. Some of the YouTubers are a little bit much sometimes. And we can't help but laugh at them.
Indeed.
Anyway, yeah, we want to know which ones you like because we're curious. I mean, it's not going to hurt my feelings either way. I don't really,
let us know.
I'm not going to lose sleep over your opinion, but I know what I'm always going to pick, and I know that I will watch this movie 1,000 more times throughout my life.
Oh yeah.
There was really no reason for me to ever own the DVD or Blu-ray. It was probably a gift, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It was probably a Christmas gift.
I think it was a Christmas gift, yeah.
But you can find this movie on most streaming platforms at any time.
Absolutely.
Ever. And, by the way, let's
What
talk
about The Entity? Is that on streaming anywhere? Did you happen to look that?
I have seen it from time to time, but it's not as common.
I figured.
Which is fine.
I feel like it's probably not around as much and has never been remade because it's so rapey.
Possibly. There's supposedly a remake, but I don't know how close it is to this. It is very rapey. It was very once again ahead of its time for things like this. It was really pushing the envelope on some stuff. So yeah, I don't think that a lot of people would want to remake this.
Right.
But they still need to remake and make good serial killer movies.
Yeah.
As far as any other remakes, Poltergeist had a remake later on. Horrible.
Not good. Mm-mm.
Sorry, Josh's mom. It's not good.
No, it's not good.
It did not It wasn't a remake. It was its own thing.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And the only thing they got right was that it was new construction track housing.
Yep.
But it was crappy track housing too.
Yep.
You know how I hate new construction.
Right.
So, but the two sequels afterwards, the second one, aside from Kane, that was really the only good part of that.
Yeah.
We've discussed this.
Right.
And then the third one I actually really like a lot.
Yeah.
Because it also felt like it could be fairly realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that me growing up in California when I was a child and seeing the construction and this type of house in my childhood, you know, stucco houses with the ceramic tile roofs, all that stuff, that was very popular for Californians to see as they were growing up. So it was really realistic, as was the Holiday Inn that they go to at the end. For some reason, it just stands out and goes, yep, that was our life.
Right.
Even the tile on the countertop in the kitchen was the same exact tile that we had, and grout, that we had at our house when I was a kid. So it kind of made sense for me. You know, it just freaked me out.
Right.
But amazing. Amazing. So anyway, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as the kids say.
Gotta like and subscribe. I don't know why we have to do the thumbs up for everything.
Sorry, I'll do it too.
Yeah, and we can make the little sound for it. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Bye.